Happy Friday morning.
Good morning.
Hope your week was great. Hope you're excited for the weekend. Here's my wife, Katrina.
Hi, everyone.
So we're going to hop right into it, just like always. This time we're in Psalm 4. This is David prays for God to hear him. So it starts off with, that's the washer. So it starts off with, hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will you turn my glory into shame? How long will you love vanity and seek after leasing? But know that the Lord has set apart him that is godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call unto him. Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart, more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety.
Amen.
So this is really cool because this is a prayer of David. And now it starts off by talking about how you could think of it as sons of men and godly sons. And they're kind of going back and forth with each other. So sons of men, these are people who they don't love God. They don't want anything to do with God. And you have you got the godly people who want to obey God and fulfill God's purpose for their life. Well, what's going on is the sons of men are profaning God, and it says they're turning his glory into shame. And so what David prays is David says to the son of men, he says, stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. He's pretty much saying, just take a moment, sit on your bed by yourself and just think to yourself, man, look at the glory of God. It says that creation shows the glory of God. And so you can think of it as take a moment and be by yourself, be still and meditate and just look at the world around you, how God created all of it for so man could take pleasure in it.
Yeah.
And so that's really all he's saying is, you're saying all these horrible things about God, but just take a moment and if you would really kind of look at God's glory, I think you would come to the conclusion where he says in verse 7 and 8, he says, thou hast put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased. That if you look at people who really are following a godly life, they probably have a lot of blessings operating in their life, but their testimony is most likely that the love of God and the blessings of God and the kindness of God gives them more joy than God blessing them with physical things like, cars, money, or anything. But this love of God is so much more fulfilling than you could ever imagine. And so with that said, Katrina, what verse stands out to you?
That's awesome. I love that. There's a couple, but in the end it says, I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For you, Lord, only make me dwell in safety. So it's like the Lord alone that brings safety to our hearts and to our lives.
Yeah.
And brings peace and sweet sleep. In Proverbs 3, at the end of Proverbs 3, it says, when you lie down, your sleep shall be sweet. And so it's like God does promise the sweet sleep. Real quick too, I love also the verse 3 when it says, but know that the Lord has set him apart that is godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call unto him. So it's like the Lord hears us when we call unto him.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a time a few months ago where it was just like that was becoming more evident to me, like, wow, like God really hears me a lot more than like I might have thought or something beforehand. But that God also just sets us apart for him. Like and you seeking the Lord, like he sees that, and he does like set you apart for himself, for his good pleasure and for his plans. So yeah, just it's only good promises in this psalm. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So with that, I would just encourage you that if Jesus is already Lord of your life, and if you're already Christian, you are set apart with the godly. So by you putting your trust in Jesus, that's you having the same righteousness that Jesus had. So that when God looks at a Christian, he doesn't see all the flaws of a Christian, but he sees perfection because that person is relying upon Jesus for their salvation. And that's a reassurance that if during the week you messed up, just know that the Lord, well, Jesus paid for all sin. So every mistake that you could have made, it doesn't matter. You're still set apart with the godly, and you still have a right to go before God and cast your prayers out, cast your worries out, and that God will answer you. He will listen to you and he will answer you.
Yeah. Amen. Totally.
Amen. So
That's
with
really
that,
good.
have a good weekend, and we'll see
Yeah.
you back on Monday.
Bye. Have a great weekend.